Okay, hello everyone. So in this video session, we are going to discuss about next concept in our CSS. So in first video, in introduction to CSS, we discussed about the CSS syntax and then what is a selector and then what is properties, and then we discussed about some of the properties, and then how to give values. We discussed about color values and as well as for font size values we discussed. Okay, different units. So next we see how where to place this CSS. Okay, so we know now we understand what is CSS. So now we see where to place this CSS in HTML. So that concept is location of styles. Location of styles means where we are going to place this CSS files. So in three different ways we can apply CSS to HTML. So in that first one is inline styles. So inline styles. So in inline styles we are directly applying CSS property and value to the inside the element itself. Inside that element we directly insert a CSS property and value. Here we are not using selector. We already know the syntax of CSS. What's the syntax of CSS? First we have to mention the selector property value. Okay, but here inside that inside that element itself we are applying property, in the sense we are not going to use a selector. By default the element name itself a selector. Instead of selector, here we use style attribute. By using style attribute, inside that HTML element itself we can apply a property, CSS properties to a particular element. So are you understand? Okay, so here inside that element itself we are applying CSS styles property and value by using style attribute. Next we see how to use or how to apply that CSS property value inside that element. So here first we see the definition. Inline styles are the style rules placed within the HTML element via the style attribute. Okay, what I told, that same thing they mentioned here as shown in the following listing. An inline style only affects the elements it defines within and overrides any other style definition for properties used in the inline style. So this inline property elements, okay, they apply the properties only to that particular element. Okay, it will not apply to the other elements. Okay, so only to the particular element that properties and values are going to apply. Okay, and then it will override already existing default values. Okay, so using inline elements is generally discouraged since they are increasing the bandwidth and decrease the maintainability. So inline style can however be handy for quickly testing out the style chain. So mainly this inline style sheets mainly used to quickly, if you want to see the difference or if you want to see the output. Okay, so for that mainly we are using the inline style sheet. Okay, and then first your browser will accept inline style sheet values only. Okay, so see here how that internal inline style sheet will work. So this one is the heading tag. Okay, heading tag. So for this heading tag, so by using style attribute you can directly apply the value. Actually this one is not right. Okay, this one is wrong. Okay, wrong example. Okay, why? Because they already closed. Okay, we need not close this one like this. Okay, this one is not a proper way. Okay, so I will show you. So listen here. So now here we created paragraph, right? Okay, so why actually inline we are using, in a sense here how many paragraphs are there? How many paragraphs are there in this example? Five paragraphs are there, right? So in this five paragraph, for second paragraph I want to design. Only for second paragraph I want to apply some different styles. So then you use style attribute. For inline, use style attribute. Style attribute is equal to, inside this you apply property and value. So now I increase the font size. For font size we know font size property is there, right? Yes, property. For this value now I give 50 pixel. Okay, 50 pixel. So font size colon after that you mention value and then you end with semicolon and then you close this double quotes if you are applying only one property and value. Okay, so now you see the difference. Now I save this one and run. See, this one apply only for which element we are applying style. Okay, that the thing they mentioned here. So listen here. Okay, here they mentioned one point, right? So an inline style sheet only affect the element it is defined within that for which one you are defining, for that one only it will apply. It will not apply to remaining elements. Okay, so here we have 4 different types of paragraphs, but 5 paragraphs are there, but it will apply only for which one you are applying style attribute. For that purpose mainly we are using, for applying particular element, for designing particular element, we are using inline style sheet. Okay, I hope you all understand this one. Okay, so inline style sheet. So next one is embedded style sheet. So first one is inline style sheet. I hope you all understand this one. Artha agideyanappa? Okay, next I move to next one, embedded style sheet. So this embedded is nothing but internal style sheet. So internal and embedded both are same. Don't get confused. Okay, why they mentioned embedded in the sense we are attaching. That's why. Okay, embedded style sheet or internal style sheet. So this one we design by using style tag. Style tag for embedded style sheet and as well as for external style sheet, we are using the syntax selector, property and value. Okay, selector, property and value. So this embedded, for embedded style sheet, you use style tag, style pair tag. Inside this style pair tag, you have to you have to mention the selector, property and value. Selector, property and value. Okay, so listen here. In this example, see this example. So here head they defined, meta tags they defined, and then title, style they defined. Inside the body of this example, we have two heading tags, right? H1 and H2. Now, if you want to design only for H1, then you call H1. So which property we need to call? Only H1, right? Okay, so H1, for if you want to design for heading tag, you have to call the element name, right, in the place of selector. That's why H1 here we call. For that we add property and value. What's the property? Font size we are changing, font size colon value 24 points. Okay, and then end. Okay, end with semicolon. And then next, if you want to design for H2 differently, so then you call H2 open curly braces, font size here they gave 18 points. Okay, points, and then font weight bold. Okay, like this you can apply the design by using internal CSS. For internal or embedded style sheet, you have to use style pair tag. Inside that style pair tag, you entered your CSS styles by using your CSS syntax, CSS selector, property and value. Okay, are you understand? This one is internal or embedded style sheet. So embedded style sheet, also called internal style sheet, are styles rules placed within a style element. Okay, yes, within style element you have to place the CSS syntax. Okay, okay. So next one is what? External style sheet. So external style sheet is a style rules placed within a external text file. So we are going to create one external text file. So that external text file you have to save by using .css extension. .css extension. So the difference between internal and external is, in internal we place selector, property and values, means the designing part of your CSS we placed within style element inside HTML, and then here this style element you can place in head or body, no matter. Okay, you can place anywhere, it will get executed. Okay, so that one is but for best practice you have to place within a head. Okay, we don't have any mandatory rules that we have to place within head or we have to place within body. Okay, for best practice you have to place within head. Okay, so here, so what we mentioned inside that style tag, that selector, property, value, designs, that these things we mentioned in separate file, that is CSS file. Okay, so you have to mention that things, entire thing inside separate file called CSS files. Okay, inside that CSS file you save that things. Okay, that file you saved by using .css extension, and then we link that file to HTML, then only that size will be applied to your HTML. How to link? That link we made by using link tag. So this one is the tag link, and then you have to specify relation style sheet. But now in current version browsers it will take this one as default or by default values, but now for best practice you have to mention this one, link relation style sheet, and then type is equal to text bar CSS. If you not mention that one also, it will get executed in current version browsers. But if you have older versions, then you have to specify that text bar CSS. Okay, type is equal to text bar CSS, and then reference. This file path is very important. So actually, where you save this file, that one, that path you have to specify properly. href is what? Hyper reference. Okay, so this one is external style sheet, and then this one is very important question for your examination. So explain different locations of style sheet if they ask. Okay, you have to write these three things, and then they may be asking like explain the different ways of inserting CSS in HTML. So for that type question also, if they ask like that, then also you have to answer this inline style sheet, embedded style sheet, and external style sheet. This one is important question. Okay, I hope you all understand how to insert CSS into HTML in three different ways: inline, embedded, and external style sheet. In inline, directly by using style attribute, there we use only property and value pair. Okay, by using style attribute, we write property and value pair. So in here you see in inline. Okay, after this also you can attach more number of property and values. Okay, okay, after semicolon. Okay, you end with this semicolon. After that, if you want to increase, if you want to add some different colors, you call color property and then add value. Okay, but you have to end that one with semicolon. If you not end that one with semicolon, it will not get applied to your HTML. Okay, and then for embedded style sheet, by using style element, we design HTML by using CSS syntax, selector, property, and values. Okay, and then external style sheet by creating separate .css file, and then link that file by using link tag. Link is a single tag, unpair tag. Okay, this one is not a pair tag, but your style element is pair. Okay, don't get confused. And then here another one difference is there. Here you see, here in inline we are using style as a what? Attribute. Style as an attribute. But here in inline, style as an element. Okay, don't get confused. Here, okay, in Viva, this type of questions they are repeatedly asking. Okay, here we are using as an attribute in inline. But if you go to internal, we are using as an element style, but that's same name. The keyword is same, but it acting differently. Okay, it acts differently. Okay. Okay, this completes your location of style sheets. So next is selectors. So what is selector? Next we see what is selector. So there are different elements in HTML document in terms of their position within the hierarchy. The following figure illustrates a sample document structure of hierarchical tree. Means selector, I already told. What is selector? The elements in a HTML. The elements in HTML we called as what? Selector. But here also it will follow your family structure. You already know, right? Family relation. Okay, in your logical questions they are asking, right? Okay, like that here also that relation will be applied. That relation will be, blood relation will be very important. Okay, here HTML is the parent root. Okay, so for HTML, head and body are what? Head and body are what? Child. Okay, for head, meta tag and title are the children. Okay, and then for body, heading tags, two different types of heading tags, paragraph tags. So we have 6 different types of heading tags. Don't forget that one. Okay, and then image tag and then div tag. Okay, so these are all what? These are all the child for body. Inside paragraph, if you call anchor tag and strong tag, then this one is the children for paragraph. Inside div, if you call paragraph, this paragraph is a children for div. Okay, so these elements of your HTML we called as a selectors. Okay, elements of HTML we called as selector. Okay, so next we discussed about different types of selectors. This one is very important question. Okay, how to select a selector. So we know the CSS syntax: selector, property, value. So what is selector? Only we mention element name, that one is a selector? No, we have different types of selectors, so that we see one by one. First one is element selector. In exam if they ask explain different types of selectors, then you have to explain different types of selectors. In that first one is element selector. So element selector, in the sense, in the place of selector you mention the element name. So what you what I explained in previous examples. So there, all those examples we used element selector only. We are not using different selectors. Okay. Okay. So element selector in the sense, in the place of selector, you select a HTML element for which you are going to design. Okay. For example, if you want to design for paragraph, then here you see mention paragraph. P. For div, if you want to design, you call div. Okay. And then if you want to design same, if you want to apply same design for paragraph, heading tags and division tags, then you use grouping of selector. This one we call as grouping of selector. The different types of element names you separate by using comma. Okay, you separate by using comma. If you want to apply same design for 2 to 3 elements, then you can also group. Okay, you can also group that elements you separated by using comma. Okay, are you understand? Okay, first type of selector is what? First type of selector is what? Element selector. So for element selector, in the place of selector, what do you have to mention? In the place of selector, what do you have to mention? HTML element name. Okay, HTML element name. So these are all the different types of HTML elements. Okay, we already know. Okay, that directly we mention. And then you can also group the elements, right? Okay, so if you want to apply same CSS to the 3 to 4 elements, you can also group by mentioning the different elements separated by comma. Okay, and then listen here. If you want to apply some properties and values to entire elements, entire HTML element, that will apply to all HTML elements. For that you have to use star asterisk symbol. Okay, it will select all the elements in your HTML. Okay, in your program, which are all the elements are there. For all elements it will selected. If you want to select, then you have to specify star asterisk symbol. Okay, element selector select all the instance of given HTML element. So if you can select all the elements by using universal element. This one we call as universal element selector. Star asterisk symbol is there, right? This one we called as universal element selector. Okay, so if you want to select all the elements, if you want to apply design for all the elements in your HTML, then you have to specify in the place of a selector, you have to specify star symbol, asterisk symbol. Okay, you can select a group of elements by separating the different element names with commas. So what I told, that same thing. This is sensible way to reduce the size and complexity of your CSS files by combining multiple identical rules into a single rule. And this one is the example. Okay, so here grouping of elements. Okay, so we are applying this property and value property value pair, margin 0, padding 0 for paragraph, division and aside. Okay, and then this one apply only for paragraph element, and then for third example, this rule apply only for division. Okay, and then for aside. Okay, aside is also an element, right, in HTML5? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, so this one is the first type of selector, that is element selector. Next one is what? Class selector. So we already know class. What is class? What is class? Sir, ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅದೇ class. ಹೌದಾ? Okay, class selector. So listen here, after that you write class selector in the sense. So now assume we have two paragraph elements we declare. So you take this example, same example. So here, so I removed 3 paragraphs. Okay, so now you assume we have only 2 paragraphs here. But these 2 paragraphs I want to apply, for these 2 paragraphs I want to apply different styles. Can we apply the different types by using element selector? Element selector use ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ? different styles ನ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತಾ? No. If you use element selector, if you use element selector P, okay, in the place of selector P, and then you apply some styles, then what happened? It will apply to all the paragraphs. It will not apply to particular paragraphs, right? So now if I am telling something to you, in the sense this will be applied to all the students present in this class. Okay, if I tell something for a particular student, then that one will be applied to that particular student, right? Okay, so now I want to apply 2 different designs for these 2 paragraphs. In the sense, now I want to differentiate these 2. How we differentiate the students? By providing different names. For providing name, we use what? Class. class attribute. So in HTML we have 4 core attributes. One is title, ID, class and style. Now we know why we use style for inline designing. Title is for providing description for a particular element, okay, particular element or particular data. So ID and class are used to differentiate two different HTML elements. So ID and class both you can use to differentiate the elements, okay, for providing name, but ID is for unique name, class is for multiple names. By using class you can give multiple names, but if you are using ID in the sense you can give only one name. So now we are using class selector. So by using class you can give different name. So now I give class A, okay, A is the name, okay. So I did for this one, for second one class B. Why? Because of designing a particular element, for designing particular element. Okay, now these two are different, right? If you are considered the class name, these two are what? Different. This one is class A, this one is class B. So now you can apply design. So now inside this style, so in the place of selector, how you are representing the class selector? So that class selector you are representing by dot. In the place of selector, first you mention the dot followed by class name. What's the class name? A. If you want to design for paragraph A, first paragraph, that class name is what? A. Then the design will apply only for A. Which element having class name? A. So now I give color, some value, FF, AABB. I also don't know which color is this. Okay. Okay, selector, property, value. In the place of selector for class, first we have to specify what? Dot followed by class name. Okay, dot followed by class name. Now the design will apply only for class. Which element will contain class name A. See here. Okay, this will be different. Okay, and then now class B. Okay, now again dot followed by class name. Class name is what? B. So now I give different color. Okay, color. So color I give it as ash, AABBCC. Can we give, right? Hexadecimal values, right? These are all. Yes. Now I save this one and then run. See, these colors will get changes. So in this way, by using class name, you can design separately. So this one we call as class selector. Okay, class selector. Okay, so a class selector allows you to simultaneously target different HTML elements regardless on their position in the document tree. If a series of HTML elements have been labeled with the same class attribute value, then you can target them and styling by using class selector. So which takes the form period dot followed by the class name. So okay, what I told, that same thing I mentioned here. So here you see dot first. Here you see this example. Try to execute these examples. Okay. So title. Okay, in body one heading tag is there, div is there. Inside that div 2 paragraphs they declare. Okay, and then HR for horizontal line here they are displaying, right? And then div. Okay. So here dot first is what? Here class name. For which are all the elements they given class name as dot first, class name as first. For all those elements that this value will be applied. Okay, this value will be applied. So dot for class, how you represent? By using dot class name is what here? First. For how many elements they call first? 1, 2, for H1, for paragraph and another one paragraph. For these three it will be applied. What properties they mentioned here? Font style italic and then color red. So this will be applied to which class having class name first. Okay, so this property value applied to the which class having class name first. Okay, here three elements having that class name first. H1 paragraph, inside this div paragraph and then inside this div paragraph. For these three it will be applied. Okay, are you all understand? Yes. So next one is ID selector. So ID selector is also same as your class, means for providing name. So this the difference between ID and class is your name. Okay, your name in your home also, in your home there they used to call you by using different name, and then your friends will call in different name. Okay, so that one is class, but ID is just like your USN. Your USN is unique, right? If you go to home or if you go to college or if you go to your university, okay, so wherever you go, your USN is same. Okay, just like ID. ID is unique. Class is so multiple names. For class, you can give multiple names. See here, instead of class, we are giving ID. Okay, if you are using ID selector, then instead of dot, you specify what? Hash symbol. An ID selector allows you to target a specific element of its attribute regardless of this type or position. If a HTML element has been labeled with an ID attribute, then you can target it for styling by using an ID selector, which takes the form pound or hash followed by a ID name. So for class you use dot followed by class name, but for ID hash and then followed by ID name. So now we see the difference. See here, listen, wait. So for ID, see here, A and comma B. For class name I give two names, A and as well as B. So now this class I change it as ID. Okay, ID. Okay, and then A and C, B and C. Okay, this for class I apply A and B. Okay, A and B. Can we give two names for class? Can we give? ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಇವಾಗ. ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗೆ ಟೂ ನೇಮ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದಾ? ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು, ಎರಡೂ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್? ಎಸ್. ಹೇಳಿ, ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ವಾ? ಮಾಡೂರಿ. ಫಾಂಟ್ ಸೈಜ್ 30 pixel. Okay, so for both I am giving some different properties. For one first paragraph, same paragraph, two names I given, A and B. Okay, okay. So for A, I applied by using A, I applied color property and value. By using class name B, I applied font size and then for next one, ID. ID, how you represent ID selector? Hash followed by ID name. ID name is what? B. So now I apply font size. First I apply font size 60 pixel. Okay, and then we have another one, ID C, right? Multiple names I given. For this color I give it as color property I give. Color I give it as black. 0 0 0. So here we apply properties by using two class names. Can both will get executed? For class name, both the property and value is execute or what? Yes or no? Yes. For ID, both will execute? Both will execute? No. Only for first name it will accept the property. See the difference. I will show you. Now I say this one and run. See. So here CSS colors, font size will be increased and then color value what we are given, that color value will be displayed. So I change this one to red. Okay, both will apply, we see. Okay, here I increase this one to 70. Okay, so see. Okay, red color font size also increases, but here you see for ID we give two names, but these two names values are also not applied. So now I give 100. Okay, 100 pixel. Okay, go and run it. Will it apply? No. Why? Because for ID we have to give only single name. Now I remove. See, only B. Go and execute. Now it applied. So for ID you have to give only single name. For class you have to give multiple names. Okay, that's the difference between ID and class. Okay, are you all understand? Okay, so next one is attribute selector. So till now we discussed about element, class and ID selector. Next one is you can also select attribute as an selector. Okay, so this one we discussed in next class. Okay, so now in this class we discussed about location of styles, okay, where we place the style sheets. So 3 locations. Which are the 3 locations? Inline, internal, and external, and then different types of selectors. In that, 3 selectors: element, ID, and class select. In next video session, we discussed about remaining selector, attribute selector, and then we have pseudo elements, okay, and then we have contextual selectors, okay, okay. So these selectors we discussed in the remaining 3 selectors we discussed in next class, next video class, okay. Try to execute this example. What you have in your test, what I sent a soft copy of your notes. So try to execute in your systems. Okay. Okay. Thank you. We meet in next video session.